LinkedIn movers and makers. Today we have another amazing founder creator with us. He's a sales leader with 15 years experience and was part of the second coming of LinkedIn during the pandemic when a lot of new creators started popping up. He started the popular sales community, Rev Genius. A community can be a powerful combination with LinkedIn. And today he's got a 50,000 person community and a seven-figure business. Let's welcome Jared Robin, the founder of Rev Genius. It's a community and a media property, and more recently, he's the founder of Audience House. But before we turn the mic over to Jared, let's talk about how he got here. Jared started his career in sales at FedEx. He was there for 7 years. He won multiple awards for performance, at one point hitting the top 1%. I think that's pretty impressive, considering it's a competitive market. What FedEx does is a commodity. He transitioned into SaaS, getting experience in early stage venture, brought in millions of pipeline revenue. And for folks who have done marketing and sales at that stage, it's no walk in the park doing sales when there's barely product market fit. On the side, he had a side hustle, Deuce Homes. I might be butchering that. It was a fashion magazine, and he grew that to 10,000 monthly readers over 3 years. It was a 20-person team. It sounded like way more than a side project. I think that kind of set the stage for what he did next. During COVID, Jared found himself unemployed like many others, including myself. So what did he do? He started a business, and that was Rev Genius. He grew that from literally nothing to 50,000 members in 4 years. The business scaled also from nothing to 7 figures. Rev Genius is more than a community. It's a media and education business. It's an online magazine. It's events, it's webinar. It's actually free to all the members. So all the money comes from sponsorships. And he's sold some of the hottest names in SaaS and go-to-market: Chili Piper, Sendozo, Zapier, 6sense, ZoomInfo, Apollo. Jared also advises a raft of startups, and many of them trending, like Clay and Hockey Stack, Noble, Reggie. If that wasn't enough, he just co-founded another business, another media property, Audience House. Right now it's a newsletter on audience-led growth strategies. That's relatively new, but it has over 4,000 subscribers. Jared himself has almost 50,000 followers, and he's very active on LinkedIn, and he's masterfully used LinkedIn to build that following and build his business. And to me, that is the definition of LinkedIn famous. Let's welcome Jared Robin to the LinkedIn Famous podcast. Welcome to the LinkedIn Famous podcast, the show where we get real about what it takes to build a personal brand on LinkedIn that gets real business results. We're talking about driving revenue from a personal LinkedIn profile by sharing real and authentic stories and points of view. I am Brad Zomick, your host and the founder of Spectrumer, a personal brand consultancy that helps founders and executives get LinkedIn famous. Join me for unfiltered conversations from the trenches of LinkedIn. We'll meet CEOs, go-to-market executives, subject matter experts, and company employees with blockbuster LinkedIn results. We'll unpack strategy and leave you with tactical advice to grow your personal brand and demand for your company's products and services. All right, LinkedIn hustlers, it's time to level up.
Thanks, Brad. You're good. That was very comprehensive.
Yes, I need to become an MC or something like that. The second calling in life.
You're in the right space. Yeah.
All right. So is there anything else about your background that you want to double click into and expand upon?
Just that there's a spiritual journey that coincided with my technology journey, going from Fortune 100 to early stage, really triggered a lot of emotions. Going from the first 1%, and you mentioned barely having product market fit. Our company barely had a product. That worked. And the amount of emotional triggers that I went through at that point, like not knowing what was next, having to take a pay cut for this uncertainty, and getting to a point where I was living out of an office building for a couple of months before I was living out of my dad's later on. Meditation and inward journeying helped me get through it. And yeah, I got to a point where you hear this long story and that's all true, but the behind the scenes, I couldn't sleep through the night for some days at Granify. And what you'll hear is, I'll say the behind the scenes, because that's like part of my LinkedIn brand, like just being vulnerable and sharing stuff. But you'll hear the exit last year for $80 million. That's fucking cool. Was it worth it? For me financially, I guess it was a break even. Here's the deal. It was worth it. but I wasn't overloaded in riches from that, as you could imagine. I was just a salesperson at the time. So my equity coincided with my role.
Sure. I've been at a few startups that were fortunate enough to exit, and I'm still working. So I feel that. And by the way, you must have read my mind because I feel like you almost jumped the gun on the next question. I think you alluded to my next question is always tell us something that the audience couldn't learn from you from your
Yeah.
LinkedIn profile. You mentioned that you're an open book on LinkedIn. Maybe some of that you already shared. Is there anything else?
Yes. Which you wouldn't know, I had short hair in my 20s. Every now and then I'll post, would you hire this person? Or which one would you hire? Super corporate, early stage startup, Jared, or just wild person now that happens to work at an early stage startup? That's always fun. I have a wonderful family. I'm really close with them. They've supported me a lot. My meditation journey is never ending. This year, I'm going to meditate every day and night for the year. That level of consistency I haven't done, but I'm dedicated to going inward. And the reason for that, like people are, it's funny. I read a post the other day, and I'll bring it to LinkedIn. Someone's like, the 5 things I'm working on to become a better leader. And the 5 things, they were good things like, hey, read more books, learn how to be a better cook. And my response in the comments was, why not meditation? And their response was, wait, I said, what about meditation? Like they had 5 things, like to be a better leader. And their response was, yeah, I've tried it before, but I get really impatient. Maybe I'll try it again. So my response to that was, read the title of your post and read what you just said. 5 things that you want to do to be, and now you're saying you get impatient. Could that be a flag that maybe you need to work on it? It's funny. People don't connect that at all. People will do hard things that they can do. And there's something with going deep in emotions that like people would rather run a super marathon or like an ultra or whatever, which is the hardest physical thing. And I'm watching my brother-in-law and sister-in-law push themselves through marathons and stuff. And they are spiritual people. But like I see other people doing this without going inwardly and like being scared to do the work that doesn't require you to do anything out here and just in here. And that is the unlock. I truly believe like the waterfall unlock to like everything, to true joy, to loving ourselves and loving others and all the beautiful dominoes that fall from that. I can't think of a more important thing to focus on for this year. And that if all I do is meditate 365 days twice a day, I will have won this year. I promise.
That's inspiring, actually. I think you had me chuckling at the hair bit from back in the day. I was like, I should probably use that one. I used to have hair in my 20s. But no, shifting gears into the meditation, I do find that resonant because I'm a pretty zen person, but I look at you and we got that same kind of chill vibe. But running your own business, there is this frenetic energy and like attention shifting that kind of drives me a little bit
endless
crazy.
Endless triggers. So
Yeah.
I think sales roles and founder roles in particular, roles with quotas and roles with then not everything is in your control, right? There aren't any new triggers in your life. I just think that you get them faster and more often when you're in these fast roles. Like they're all stuff you felt. And if you were like a musician or a teacher, you'd still feel it. It just might not happen as often.
Yeah. I come from the marketing side of the house, so I feel that, and especially a lot of us felt in the pandemic. So we got pretty deep to warm things up. I like it. Let's shift gears.
You have to connect with your audience, right?
Yeah, indeed. I think I'm going to go get the Calm app and meditate, and I think it might improve.
Do it without the app. This is the scariest thing for people. Go into a room in a typical chair, not anything crazy. Sit there in the dark by yourself. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. Don't pause. Do it through your nose. If for some reason your nose is clogged, do it through your mouth. Don't do in versus out. Don't think of anything outside of your breaths or what's in the room, and do it for no less than 15 minutes twice a day. You'd be surprised at how scary that is.
It does sound intense. Maybe
by yourself.
That's the first secret to becoming LinkedIn famous.
You don't have to. Most people that are LinkedIn famous are just exceptional at what they do.
Yeah. Speaking of, let's get into your LinkedIn journey. And like I mentioned before, you're one of those people that were part of that second wave and engaged a lot of people, inspired a lot of people during the pandemic. When you got started, What was going through your mind?
Yeah, had wanted to invest in LinkedIn probably from 2019. I think I bought Justin Welsh's course. I've been watching him. If you're part of the second wave, he was like the tail end of the first wave that brought him to the second wave. And I'm literally watching his engagement go from like 100, 200, 300, 500. Now it's probably over 1,000 to 5,000. But he was rallying people to come, and I'm like, cool. So at first I wanted to do it to get business. And what I would do is I ran sales for a marketing agency. What I realized quickly was I was asking other people to help me with content, to learn, to put something out there to attract potential buyers. I didn't know this, and it was an aha, right? Like I didn't know who I wanted to attract super well. And I was writing for somebody else, right? Like for a different purpose. It wasn't my brand. It was my company's brand that I was putting through me. And I'm like, hey, the 3 things you need to know about doing better with ads or this, and this. And I put it out there, and I remember I got 5 likes, and they might have all been from my company that I worked for. So like, it wasn't anything past that. And I'm like, shit, this took me asking our strategist time. I know marketing, but I don't know it as well as the buyer. And does this feel comfortable? Go to 2020, right around when I lost a job. Okay, now I need to dive in. I need to figure it out. At this point, I'm watching Justin Welsh's LinkedIn Playbook 1.0, which at the time was phenomenal.
I agree.
Like, I probably recommended it right up to the time he launched the second one, right? Like, it was really good. And it was simple. And that was the first aha. When he said, you can only write to 4 people that are going to become you, people that are already you, people above you, or pick 2 of them. Like, you can't do, and when you think of that, now I could write to people who want to become you, people, and only people at your level if you're like really good, and like me being President's Club. So I could teach people how to sell, right? Theoretically. Probably more so than people on LinkedIn, to be honest. But regardless, I started doing that, and I started putting stuff out. And my natural inclination was also to tell my story in the process. And community came from that point on. There's a missing spot there in this arc, right? I started becoming friends with the people commenting on my posts because there weren't many, right? I realized we were similar and we liked each other, and we're both new at this new game. I needed a job. So my selfish reason was to get another job and to do it like a new way, because just reaching out to hiring managers on LinkedIn was something I was prepared to do. That was like best practice before everybody was on LinkedIn, right? Reach out to the hiring manager. The best would do this, right? The average practice would not do this. I'm like, damn, everyone's out of work now in COVID, or more people than normal, and there's less jobs. So I need to differentiate myself more. So I became active on LinkedIn. And then in the comments were other people. We threw 4 people in a LinkedIn DM chat, and my intention was to network, to try to find a job. I would go to every single webinar, Thursday night sales to whatever sales training program was being promoted on LinkedIn. I think that's where I got most of my info. Maybe I Googled some stuff as well, but I just showed up everywhere. And I used to make and then this group on LinkedIn. So this is what I'm doing every which way to just try to be seen. The chat group at 4, I'm like, this is a cool group. You guys are awesome. Can you all invite 2 people that are vibey like you are into this DM chat? And then now we have like more people engaging with each other's posts because people were sharing posts. It wasn't a pod, but obviously like we're at the beginning of LinkedIn. So people are sharing posts. And, hey, what do you think of this? I remember like creating Google Docs with my posts and sharing with people before posting. I don't know how much that happens anymore, but we were all like really into having the best posts and like editing each other's. It didn't happen every day, but maybe it happened every week. And sometimes, hey, can you give a quick once over? Would you change anything here? And we were all friends, like helping each other. It was cool. We weren't talking about hooks as much as what sounded good. Maybe we should have started on hooks earlier. Maybe I was late to that, but now we have a group from 4 in the DM that grows to 27. I'm going everywhere, like virtually, right? Because we're not in COVID. And I turned a lot of these webinars into community. And how I did that was in the chat, I'm like, hey, can everyone drop their LinkedIn links? Let's all connect. Then what I would do as well was I would create a Google Sheet and say, hey, here's a Google Sheet. Drop your LinkedIn links here. Does anyone have any jobs? Here's a job board. This is for everybody and me. And all these activities I was doing obviously brought a little more like eyeballs to my LinkedIn. Like, this is like the hard way. The easy way is to write a good fucking hook. It's not easy, but like,
Back then, it didn't matter as much, I don't think.
I don't think it did. If you just had really good content.
I don't think it mattered. People say, Dave Gerhardt and Chris Walker say it doesn't matter, especially if you're speaking through ICP. I'm just trying to unpack some of that. The magic was you honed in on an ideal client profile, which was actually yourself. People like you, which I think is a superpower. When you're speaking to the same profile, there's something powerful there. Then the relationships were a big component. I think your honesty and vulnerability, I think it just probably naturally attracted a lot of people. You became a magnet for people who wanted to congregate with you and share a story.
People loved that I lived in a DUI office building. When I say DUI, like literally during the day, it was a DUI convict area. And I put a blow-up mattress in the middle of it. I used to take a shot of NyQuil before going to bed because the mattress would unblow up halfway through the night. And I wanted to sleep through when mattress became wood floor. And then eventually my dad brought my high school mattress in there. That was funny. My dad unloading a mattress at 9:30 p.m. in New York City into an office building with all the lights on in the lobby and cameras on. We're bringing a mattress in instead of stealing something out. It was weird, to say the least. And oh my gosh, it was interesting. There was a shower in the hallway for that. But me telling that story, hey, this is part of my startup story. Like, I kicked myself out of my ex-girlfriend in my place. I still paid half rent there as a courtesy to make sure she landed on her feet. And I moved there instead of home.
Hey, you tell that story on LinkedIn. Like, people love to hear the unfiltered truth. That's why we like reality TV. And I assume that was the start of when things started to click between the community, honing in on your ICP. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, essentially this DM group became 25 and people were going crazy, like talking to each other rapid fire on the LinkedIn app that it closed. It like shut down every day, multiple times a day for people, right? Like you're just in it and it just closes out and you have to go back in it. And then it closes out. That's when I realized that there was something community around there. Combined with people needing community more than ever during COVID, it was like a weird time. It was scary, but it was really weird. People didn't know what was what, and they just needed connection. And plus, people were losing jobs too. So then we brought everyone to Slack, and then people realized this is the spot. Like, people told other people were making posts about it. People were adding it to their LinkedIn profiles on their own. You know why? Because it's a hack today. It was an even bigger hack back then that impressions would go gangbusters once you added it to your profile. And there was
the company page, right?
Yeah, they would say Rev Genius member.
Yes.
Right? So
yeah, I remember
4,000 to 5,000 people on LinkedIn with Rev Genius member on it. And it benefited them. Like, people would send me screenshots, sometimes on a weekly cadence, like different people with like hockey stick profile view growth. Hey, I added it to my profile. Look at my profile views going up. I'm like, that's value. That's legit value for $0. Why the fuck not? And then people would engage in other new members' posts. People would do that. Obviously, people later would try to hack that and try to sell people and ruin it for everybody. Mother effers. Just kidding. But you attack flatten from effectiveness.
Yeah. So that's basically the start of Rev Genius, right? It's really interesting, the role of the company page. On this podcast, we don't talk about them that much because for the most part, they're really hard to grow.
Yeah, I think in the beginning, it was fucking awesome and part of my French. Am I okay to swear here?
Yeah, that's fine. It's okay.
Because everyone had heard of Rev Genius, but nobody really knew what it was. So we had a blank company page. And I'm like, I want it to be blank forever. I think we had 3,000 to 5,000 followers with it blank. And to me, that was so fucking badass. I'm like, I want to keep it blank.
It's like Fight Club.
Forever. I'm like, I think did we even get to 10,000 blank? I'm not 100% sure, but I do believe having it blank added to the vibes of it.
The mystique.
And all of this. We're at 70,000 now. It's definitely not blank. We use it as a tool to promote webinars and stuff. I think the company page If you're going to use it in a boring way, it really has no value. If you're going to give it a personality and like an extension of your brand, there's some folks that have done a really good job with that.
Yeah.
I think the value is, can you get them to put it on your profile page? And you've seen people like announcing advisors. Yeah, 4 years ago, advisors, like people that would actually like advise the business on go-to-market strategies. 2 years ago, it was just like influencers with a different name that we don't have to pay, that we could give like a little bit of equity to, and then influencers demanding to get paid at a certain point. Like now people aren't becoming advisors as much.
Wow, it's so true.
Do you see that? Like you're like, hey, you might be an influencer. And I remember like through that period, people were asking me to be advisors. I'm like, I am not going to be an advisor for anyone that gives me an agreement with a certain number of posts, because that's not an advisor. That's you taking advantage, sir or ma'am. So I only took advisor roles for people that wanted my brain. I'm like, I'm here to help you build community. I'm here to help some other things. I can help you build a movement. If you just want me to post, that is myopic. I will do that when it feels organic. Like I did like a funding announcement today for somebody, for instance, that's a client of Rev Genius and a really cool product that I love. And I want to support our clients over deliver in value. So yeah, I don't plan on taking any influencer money.
You guys took a unique angle where it was a community and you can invite people to it as a member. I would say very few companies can do this. Pavilion did it for a while. I don't know if it still works as much. I actually haven't seen a ton of it. And what else are you doing on the company page to get, what does that look like?
We don't do enough, to be fair, to give it a voice. Like it's mostly, but I will tell you this. So we don't give it like what we should do with it. When I say should, it's to no fault. Like we have a small, lean team. We have other priorities and stuff, but give it a voice. Like what Beehive does, I friggin' love that brand. Like on X, and I believe they do it a little on LinkedIn. Their social person is like an extension of the brand voice and all of this. Here's the deal. Company page or not, the most important part of the equation, what happened with the evolution of personal brand was people started leaving companies and becoming creators, right? Like and building parity in income, but they were comfortable and they were cool and damn the man. And that was
with freedom, probably the most important
freedom.
Thing. Yeah.
And that was a cool transfer of power there. And that's still going on. What else happened? But was that the end of companies? No. Not at all. Like it might have been, was that the end of influencers working at companies? Oh, that kind of decreased a little there, but they're still there. But you seeing the person, you're like, you are talking so far away from what your company does. When are you going to leave your company? It's not a bad thing.
Well, those people are sought after. They can move wherever they want.
They can move wherever they want, and they often launch something. And shout out to those Darren McKee who made the jump this year, who's phenomenal. And I'm like, what took you so long, right? Most people are like that because he has a very good business. He's helping people and doing really great work. But what also happened, and what happened last year in particular, companies realizing that the founder needed to be like the chief evangelist. There was a few years ago, but this is like table stakes.
I think it was already happening.
It was happening by the Chris Walkers. He knew. He's phenomenal.
Dave Gerhardt put like a name on it, the founder brand.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So that Dave Gerhardt put a name on it. When did that book come out?
That's a good question. I have it right here. It's let's take a look. I think a couple of years ago. Let's see. 2022.
So 2022, and he was way ahead of it. I believe last year was when like it really caught on.
Yes. And I think this year it'll probably explode even further if I had to guess.
So what I've been telling people, and this kind of negates the need for, if you're lean, if you're early, you don't need to put effort into the company page. You need to have it, but you don't need to like put.
It's not worth the effort unless you have some hack.
It's the founder brand that you need. And we'll use Dave's words because he did it marvelously. Having the founder evangelize, I truly believe, is table stakes. And a non-technical founder, or having a founder in particular, not the head of marketing, not another person on the team. Why the founder versus them? Brad, there's a much better chance they're going to be there longer, right?
Yeah.
Like what? You're going to bring on all these creators and they're going to leave? We've seen that story, Brad. We've seen that story. And we'll see it again.
And they have the vision, the passion, the passion. Expertise.
So this is table stakes, like that same founder selling, right? Like it's become that, and that's the mode. And I think, and like with what I'm exploring with Audience House, audience-led growth, building audience, surface level, it's having a really good founder brand, all of that, where I think as everybody goes and tries to do this. And simultaneously, the LinkedIn reach is going down, whatever. You tell a good story and you're strong, like that's great. But there is more people vying for attention. Make no doubt about it.
That is fair. It's like Twitter now. You really have to get in there and
It is.
rock
And
it.
I think what's table stakes, what was like a superpower in the past, but I believe is table stakes is building a movement where it's like audience plus like rallying them around a problem. Adam Robinson's pretty good at that, right?
Oh yeah, yes, yes.
He's pretty good at that. And I think that's like the nuanced difference. And I think in addition to that, if you want to really get that gold star, it's building a unique point of view, but like also this is going to sound cliche to some, but building a category and then tying that in the point of view with rallying people. And here's something that no B2B person puts in their playbooks, shares in their playbooks, I don't think. I truly believe having a social impact component to whatever you're doing as a company will help connect and rally the people more. Nothing can do that business-wise. Helping you solve your pipeline problems, get the fuck out of here. Like, great, yeah. But like empowering people to get a job in tech or something.
So like an educational, an aspirational, educational, motivational component, just
It
to
could
clarify.
be anything social impact. So like,
Yeah.
what does B2C do? Tom's, buy a pair of shoes, give a pair away. What does Warby Parker do? Glasses. They do and they built a category around that, right? Nike aligns with so many philanthropies and intertwines it with what they do. Let's go back to the Beehive example, because I think this is a great example of an earlier stage company. They're now Series B. So
Yeah.
in about a year,
Not so early anymore.
not
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
how they're building a movement. Do you know that they launched like a collective for giving insurance and benefits for independent journalists?
Oh, that's cool. I did not hear about that.
Brad,
Yeah.
that's fucking movement shit, bro. It's not just that Tyler's making cool products. Don't get me wrong. There's tactics under that. There has to be. But the tactics hit so much harder. Your story is so much more potent, and you're rallying the fucking people. No more software.
That's
like, let's
classic.
fucking go. No more software. I don't know who said that, but you get
Mark
the-
Benioff. Mark Benioff.
He fucking had a march on floppy disks, Brad, in San Francisco.
Yeah, so somebody ripped off that stunt earlier this year. I forgot who it was, but it was funny. They staged a fake protest. I agree with you 100%. I think
No more AI. No, so
the
the key-
category creation, those companies have a way of inspiring a better way of doing things and a brighter future. There is something aspirational about it, whether or not they're doing something like Tom's. But I do think there's a lot of aspirational stuff that you can do around helping people do better in their job and grow their career.
you have to
Yeah.
find something, right? So if you're going to build, and first and foremost, we're at an inflection point now. And anybody that doesn't interweave this into their content, into their LinkedIn, into whatever, is leaving a lot on the table. It's AI, right? Come on. It's the biggest inflection point. AI in every single category will actually disrupt the categories.
Yes.
Sales enablement conference, Brad, is a resume handing out thing right now. So, okay, so let's say, I'll come
Probably
up
also an AI conference.
with that.
It's probably also an AI tech conference.
No, it's a bunch of people bitching about AI.
Yeah.
That's what I heard.
But like from the vendor standpoint, or like the speakers, they're probably all, look at all these cool things I'm doing with AI whiz bangs.
How many GTM professionals know how to build AI agents in your estimation percent? Like
Sub 1%.
education could be it if you want to build the new sales enablement, and now you pick that common villain. That becomes your personal brand. Adam Robinson did this beautifully. Dave Gerhardt's done it, blah, blah, blah. But like doing this part is table stakes. Christopher Walker, fucking beautiful with that.
Yes. Yeah. Masterful.
And, I believe he's a Chris Lockheed and category design.
Yeah. I'm a fan too. Play Bigger. It's a classic seminal read for anybody who's, I would say, founders who are looking to, like you say, inspire a
I read it
movement.
3 times. Like and then Pattern Breakers on the other side. So
I got to check that one out.
Mike Maples Jr., Blood early stage VC. And I think where I'm going with this is, and bringing it back to LinkedIn, if your brand is the same as everyone else's brand, you could do better than them, right? Like you might say things better, you might like all of this. Because I've seen people teach on sales, like 2 different people, both with great advice, and one person might have 10 times the amount of impressions. And there is probably some logic behind that and some like strategy behind that and get them more impressions, whatever. But like doing something different sounds way more interesting to me and it aligns with everything that you do and can make this congruent. I just think it's badass to build movements. And what was Rev Genius's movement? Going back to that, I didn't realize I was doing it because I don't like to compete. I competed at FedEx, but the company had amazing structure and I figured out how to make it so like it wasn't competing, even how to not commoditize it. It was too easy to just sell on price. So selling on value and like understanding why FedEx actually was different than UPS. And listen, it's marginal, but it's hard, especially if you're not the biggest. If you're not the biggest, it's fucking draining.
Yes, as a little guy, it's hard.
And you're not gonna win from a mental standpoint. I promise you. Like you're not. It's gonna be maybe you win from a money standpoint, but I don't know.
If you make it, if the company becomes the next Gong.
With Rev Genius, like there are other communities, and there were at the time. Like, why was there a need for Rev Genius? And I looked around and I said, the other communities are good, they're great, but there wasn't a community for everybody from SDR to CRO. Did you know that? There wasn't. And if there was, we all didn't see it that came to Rev Genius. And I was just like, this is important. And it's not just important for the morality of it. Let's give everybody equity in the situation and all this, because that in of itself is super important. But we couldn't lift the space until we did this. There was a proverbial glass ceiling in groups that only had like senior leaders at the time, let's say. They looked like me with short hair. Brad, there's a few with long hair now. And hopefully I've inspired people to grow their hair. But like,
I would if I could.
Yeah, you know what I mean though? And I'm like, holy shit, like we need to bring in different points of view. And also when I started, I'm like, there's a need for SDRs to be in the same room as CROs, not just for the SDR who wants the mentor that's a CRO. That's the obvious thing, or to learn from them. But at the time, the CRO needed to learn from the SDR. They were still selling like early days of SaaS, right? Like 2015s. And the SDRs, the good ones especially, knew how to sell today and get meetings. And that was like the core thing. Like pipeline dried up and like CROs were never more focused on the pipeline, early pipeline, than they had been 4 years ago. And I'm like, they all need to be in the same group. So the movement was, let's create a space for everybody. Let's go. You could sit with us. That's what I would put on like some LinkedIn posts. And let's change the future. And people are like, fuck, let's do it. And even if they were in those other groups, the Pavilions, Revenue Collective at the time, Modern Sales Pros, phenomenal groups, they saw value in joining ours as well, and didn't necessarily look at it as competition because they got a certain thing from Revenue Collective and they got something different from Rev Genius.
Positioning matters, and the positioning for the individual matters too.
Yep.
And we've talked about your positioning a little bit, but I'm curious. We got into the company page, got deep into strategy. For your own presence, what does it look like to maintain it? After you figure out who you are and what you're trying to say, how do you do that day in, day out without running out to things to say or taking breaks? Or what does your system look like?
So here's the deal. Yeah. I'll tell you the system that I'm going to go towards. My system now isn't that great. It's off the cuff. Sometimes I'll think about it before.
And it's been like that for the last 2 years, 4 years?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
What I want to do.
Sometimes I'm like that too.
And I just get inspired by things or whatever. What I want to do is have a few content pillars, have some prompts, and align it around. This is probably my gap, to be honest. And I'll probably learn a lot fast. Maybe all the metrics will go right when I focus more on this, running a business. And I'm not the only, there's a couple things, and focus on like just like asking a prompt, recording it on Zoom, transcribing it, because my words spoken tend to be my words written. So like it's me anyway, and formatting it so that like it's an easy read on a LinkedIn post is going to be my process. And probably sitting down for an hour every other week and just doing 10 prompts. And just knocking it out and letting the weekends be freestyle or like me talking about spirituality or something like that, I think is probably a structure that's a really good starting point.
I like that. But by the way, you'd be surprised, guys like Dave Garrett and Chris Walker, they get value from sitting down every morning and kind of just thinking through what's going on. I switch back and forth. Sometimes I'll do the morning, sometimes I'll do planning sessions.
And
So
yeah, to
yeah.
be honest, I don't know if I would do 10 in an hour.
Yeah, it's hard.
I would do
Thinking out
5,
loud here.
and
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
not because of the amount of time it takes. It would be because every week I am learning so fucking much that I might have already poked holes from the week before or something.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
what
That's
the fuck was
interesting.
I thinking?
That's the beauty of it. If you're like just putting everything out there, seeing what sinks and floats, you can always come back, revisit whatever you
Yeah.
said, and a few weeks later, take a different approach to it. I'm wondering, we talked about the business impact. It's been probably a little bit life changing compared to where we started at the beginning of the pandemic when you started Revenue Genius. And that's amazing. I'm sure you're not living in the DUI home anymore, but I'm curious, what was there any
No, I mean, it's
unexpected?
hard to like
Yeah.
finance. Like I'm not. We just bought a house and stuff, but
Yeah.
there hasn't been like an influx because I have a team of 7, so
Yeah.
I'm very much being paid below normal, but like livable.
Okay. Got it. Got it. But you have your reputation, which will help
But
you do other things.
it's been life changing because I've wanted to be an entrepreneur since I was 18, but as a senior in high school, but fear held me back, fear of not being able to get out of the house. I wanted to move out of the home. I wanted to have experiences, and not having money wouldn't help me with those experiences. And those experiences were just like partying in New York City, right? They
Yeah.
weren't like anything crazy. And
Everybody does
wanted
it.
to,
Listen, you're
I
in
wanted to
50.
have that life.
Yeah.
And I did. As 42, I'm now, at 38 when I started Rev Genius, I decided to buckle down and focus more than I had. And I think it might happen later for me just because of the years, but I think, if I stick with this, the path is life changing and I'm doing what I was meant to do, at least professionally. I don't know if I was meant to go down a creative path. I certainly tried like with the magazine and stuff, and maybe I could have pursued it more. But the entrepreneurship is big. And I truly believe, if you've read the book, The War of Art.
Second person to mention that, Melissa Moody. And now I have to read it.
Yeah, Melissa Moody is a good friend. Like
Yeah.
The War of Art is spectacular. And I need to reread it again. It's a good reminder. I'll reread it again sometime this year. They talk about like entrepreneurship is like the second most creative thing you could do. I think like actually being an artist is number one. There's such like a creativity in there, and like creativity soothes most of our souls, I think, because we were creative people before we were practical people as like young kids. And so I feel like really in line. So that's been life changing.
I love that. Like I get all sorts of interesting answers from what's the unexpected impact of investing in LinkedIn. And that's been I think one of the most thoughtful ones. It's fantastic.
I think LinkedIn was a vehicle, but I think investing in meditation 10 years ago was the reason. I wouldn't have been as open to it. I might have had a job. I might have had a job that made more money that was more myopic for my life, and I might have been less fulfilled as a result. So we are on a journey to find joy, and we need to remove whatever junk we have right now to get there. We don't need to achieve anything or have anything new, but we do have like messengers, right? They're like things that help us. Link, to be clear, was that for me, but I truly believe if it wasn't LinkedIn, it would have been something else because of the work I've put in.
That is awesome. We're rounding the corner towards the end of the episode. Got a couple more questions. I hope you don't mind. You advise a lot of founders as an advisor, and I'm sure a lot of people ask you advice. If somebody comes to you and they want to have a persona like you in the future, they want to invest in LinkedIn, where do you tell them to start?
The quickest answer with the least thought is just to start. And I think that's a lesson with all of life. You just got to do something, ready, fire, aim. And then the best founders, the best creators, the best marketers have fucking impeccable feedback loops. Like they'll fail more than anybody. You might not catch the failures, and they're going to fix it fast. And you will catch the good part that comes from learning from that. And I think that's key. You could look to folks like Justin Welsh, as I mentioned, for like advice, like his operating system, like just grab it. Just get a starting point from someone you trust, pay $100 or less for it. There's probably not a need for more. And then post consistently, right? No less than 3 days a week. If you could get 5+, great. And listen to your audience that you're building and figure it out. There's going to be lots of gems there. And then that's the starting point. And then all the other stuff to separate you is the X factor that will go once you build that muscle.
Some great advice there.
Get
On
anybody you
LinkedIn.
trust,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
playbook, and just get fucking going with it. Because if it worked for somebody else, it's worth it as a starting point.
That's fair. You want to take a well-trodden path and but just take that playbook, make it your own. For your own, when you spend time on LinkedIn, who are you following? Who do you think is crushing it? Who are you learning from?
Yeah, it's a great question. Right now, it's who are you seeing?
Yeah.
Isn't it that funny? Like, I'll tell you like what I get most excited about. So first and foremost, I'm getting excited about founders like dropping awesome stuff. Gal Aga is just a gem. He's a founder, he's teaching people, and he's driving so much pipeline from his LinkedIn, but he's genuine, he's sweet, and he's doing a great job. So like somebody like him is awesome. I love also like the wittiness of the Jen Allens and Kyle Ace's like back and forth. I think that's super cool. It adds a lot to the platform, and they have phenomenal content. I've always loved Obed from like his
Yeah, he's great.
I actually
Yeah.
found him from his like hip hop freestyle days, and Ding from his hip hop freestyle
Yes.
days. I love all that stuff. But and I love the creative stuff, although I don't think the creative stuff is to the level of the creativity from back in the day when I was running a mag. That's just shade from me doing so much work with like full teams and stuff and winning international fashion film. Like it's different, right? Like on
Yeah.
there. And I never quite warmed up to it fully, but I do that people are going out and trying shit. But I get real inspired by the founders doing it. That you're like that are like evangelizing a big problem, starting movements and stuff like that. And the brands, like sometimes a brand will hit you and it'll be like the perfect combination of LinkedIn and the brand. And it's just whoa. And it's like things that are new. So yeah, I could say I like what Apollo has done in the past, like some things from there. I like some things that Gong does and Hockey Stack. I think they're phenomenal. I love some of the strategy Clay rolls out. I think that they're doing a great job. But like, I was obsessed with Bordy.ai yesterday. I don't know if you saw.
Oh, yeah, I
Like,
tried that.
I like this. I respect this company. This brand came out and just completely fucking pattern interrupted me. And then I'm on a phone call with Bordy.ai because they're like, hey, call me. I can connect you with anybody. And I thought that was really cool how they did something different. And I want to say something like important. There are playbooks that work and it's common for others to follow them. And over time, they'll work less or whatever, but it doesn't mean that they can't work for you. But what really is interesting is when you're unique, you're different and different with a purpose, right? Like and rally the people around it. Bordy may or may not have actually pitched these investors by themselves. I bet not fully, right? But and then they had this like really engaging content around it where Bordy was talking to the employees and stuff. And it was like a sequence of events like around the fundraise. And I don't know if they're going to continue with that because here's a tactic. Like fundraise announcements give like generally the most impressions. And I don't want to call it the cheapest views, the easiest views. And you should do them. Like I've seen VCs tell companies and how to create the banner, like with all the VC names on it. And that's part of the playbook. But yesterday, Bordy did it differently, and that was interesting. If they keep gaining my interest like that, I don't know. But that's what I'm looking for. Somebody to like really wow me. And it wasn't even the fundraise that did it. It was the fact that I was on the phone with fucking Bordy. And then I'm looking in my DMs and their partnership persons. Hey, could we work together? And at the beginning, I like poo-pooed it. I'm like, I don't even know what you are. Like, what? I don't even have time to go to your website. That day might have been a bad day for me. And now I'm writing back and I'm like, yeah, when can we speak? That's what gets me hype. Like things that like that are really cool. Yes, they're great brands that I like. Brad, to be honest, you probably have half a dozen brands, maybe 24 brands that you love, like on LinkedIn, but you might not religiously go there. And when you see,
especially
like,
to the company page, you might
see
follow
a
a person.
campaign from them, like Notion's campaign, and be like, "Game recognizes game, cool." But there's a couple out there. Bordy did that for me yesterday, that like really capture you and want you tip that domino to get you to want to connect with everybody in their leadership, not even to sell them anything, just because you think they're fucking cool and you want to figure it out in some way, shape, or form with them. Even if you make $0, you want to be like in their stratosphere. And that is cool.
I agree.
Another one that did that. Like, we've worked together before, but they did some nice stuff that got me drumming.
That's amazing. For reference, everyone listening who doesn't know what Bordy is, it's this AI referral chatbot. It's in your DMs on LinkedIn.
Connector, like,
and it calls you on the phone. Like, the minute you chat with it on LinkedIn, it calls you on the phone. It's, oh, you should talk to someone. Let me get back to you. Meanwhile, I'm still waiting for my phone call, but
do it again. Aussie accent is so disarming.
Yes, yeah.
It's so disarming. If it was like somebody from Queens, New York, you'd be like, get the fuck off.
One thing you said in there about Bordy was different with purpose. And I think that kind of applies to whatever someone who listens does on LinkedIn. And it's probably a nice place to land the plane. But before we do that, I wanted to ask you if there's anything going on at Rev Genius or Audience House that you'd like to share with the audience.
Yeah. So Rev Genius is 2025. We have some awesome new partners. We just partnered with Salesforce, amongst others. Pretty amped about that. We're helping them. It's like a milestone, right? Because I guess they're like the North Star for the GTM world. There might be bigger companies, but maybe not.
Right? Sales, right? Yeah.
So like we did that. We had some killer events. GTM leaders, we're going to be throwing dinners throughout this year, which are going to be rad. Audience House newsletter, dropping really great content, starting to work with brands, or I'll say companies, to help them build their movements, which is pretty cool. Do things different with purpose, figure out the category needed because what's out there doesn't satisfy the needs. Figure out naming and framing around that, claim it, execute the fuck out of it, rally the people, build community, build social impact, everybody, because community shouldn't exist in a commercial area. Communities for religion, communities for social marches and movements and trying to better society traditionally, or finding a place of belonging, a church, a temple, what have you. So when we bring it into B2B, we need to do it very carefully and very sensitively, and helping the people and having true social impact causes part of that helps, because connectedness is really, and trust is the secret sauce. And in the age of AI, people are the moat, trust is the moat, all of that. Technology isn't the moat, guys.
I want to maybe reiterate that connectedness is the special sauce. Community, I think, is what is truly durable. And you got something really cool going on in the community at Rev Genius. I want everybody to go follow Jared. Go join Rev Genius if you're in sales or you're a founder trying to do sales.
Or Rev Ops or marketing.
Yes. Also go check out Audience House as well. Is there anywhere else where people should be following you?
I guess you can come to Brooklyn and hang out. I'm on Twitter. I'm on X. There's something about X that's cool, a unique way, and I like that. But LinkedIn, X, I'm on Instagram, but I haven't posted since 2018 with my fashion shit. Yeah. Oh, Brad, thank you.
If you enjoyed this episode, follow Brad and Spectimer on LinkedIn for hot takes and tactical executive branding advice. For the readers in the audience, subscribe to LinkedIn Famous on Substack. And if you really loved this episode, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the podcasting platform of your choice. Until next time, stay bold, authentic, and keep on creating.